like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, probably like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Outside the building are low for this team? It seems like
I could care less what the outside expectations are outside of this building. We're just gonna keep going to work every day, and I like our process, and I like what we're doing right now.
All right. Shout out to the mighty Who Dat Nation, man. We in this thing representing the Coma. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, but we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. Shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all for being in an episode of the Coma. Much love. Hope you're having a fantastic weekend, fam. This is a Sunday afternoon broadcast. Just hitting you guys with it. Hope you guys having a fantastic weekend, man. It's most certainly beautiful. It's getting hot, man. We are definitely in summertime. But anyway, just to kind of drop and talk with the family members to cover this latest item of news from the Black and Gold. This came out last week. We covered it as Saints head coach Dennis Allen labeled as the worst coach in the NFL. There are previous other articles that have ranked the Saints either last or next to last when it comes down to talking about Dennis Allen. As you just heard, I played the interview, his last interview, where he talked about expectations outside of the building. And maybe people need to coach him up about expectations outside the building, because you will want to raise those expectations, which would translate into success financially speaking. But as a football coach, maybe somebody higher up with a lot more ability to talk to the public, and the Saints have really been faltering with that image with the people. They act like they don't care what you think, and whatever they give to you will be good enough. And to some people it is. But for the great Saint Think Tank and many others who demand a lot higher standard of what football is being played in this area and representing the Black and Gold, we demand more than the last 3 years of 9 playoff football. We're better than this, and it's time to change it. So I do think that they have the offensive coaching staff in place to make such change. But anyway, in this episode, let's kind of cover this article. Y'all go to the whodatdaily.com and check out the latest article right here from our contributors, boxing, basketball, whatever. Share the articles, man, and help the whodatdaily.com out big time with our contributors and writers, always putting in great work. But in this episode of the Coma, we're going to talk about this article. Saints head coach Dennis Allen labeled as worst coach in the NFL. And also I'm going to leave the link in the description section below for family members to kind of share it or go over it. So anyway, this is pretty much what's going on. I thought it's been written by Niles Carpenter, our Saints contributor. New Orleans Saints head coach Dennis Allen hasn't impressed the Who Dat Nation since he was named the team's leader following Sean Payton's departure. Critics have been vocal about the team's underperformance, especially given the relative weak competition in the NFC South during the 2023 season. Allen's inability to implement effective offensive strategies was a key factor in the team's failure to reach the postseason. At times, he seemed to be perplexed by the issues plaguing the team, including low morale, lack of accountability, and poor attention to detail, which were glaringly evident throughout the season. And Niles always dropping the scoop, but he's absolutely right. We talked about this ad nauseum on the Sports Coma. We even not only just talked about it, but we tend to highlight things. We will highlight an issue, said issue, and then provide solutions to help out. Same thing we do with the Pelicans. We'll highlight issues that we recognize as real key issues and facts, and then we'll also give our thoughts on solutions to clear this up. And key things we talked about, and you guys know, the family members, day ones, day twos, and threes, pluses, know that we've been talking about what the major issues are with the New Orleans Saints. And it was schematic. It was mind frame wise above all things. The accountability issue, lack of accountability, attention to detail, paying attention to what you're doing, and making sure the people who you're coaching are doing the things they're supposed to be doing. And when they're not doing the things they're not supposed to be doing, they're supposed to be penalized for it. When they do the things they are supposed to be doing, they're supposed to be recognized and rewarded if they do it at a higher level. Now, that's accountability, and that's attention to detail. Those things were glaringly absent. So I shout out to Niles for keeping that apparent. All right. So anyway, he finishes out his article. Jarrett Bailey from the USA Today's Touchdown Wire ranked Allen as the number 32 out of 32 head coaches, describing him as, quote, the head coaching version of a sitting on a whoopee cushion, end quote. According to Bailey, the Saints had been, quote, dreadfully boring with no sense of direction, end quote. Since Peyton left over the last two seasons, the team has a 6-18 record and is stuck in quarterback purgatory with Derek Carr, who's not seen as a long-term solution. Now, Bailey suggests that the Saints' best option would be to start rebuilding in 2025, though this move would be long overdue. Now, let me address that, because I don't know if this fella who wrote this understands or been following the Saints as much as the great Saint think tank. Probably not. But the New Orleans Saints are a team that has been littered and loaded with talent over the last 3 years. The reason over the last, and particularly the last 3 years, the first year under Sean Payton, the reason why the Saints didn't get to the playoffs was because Sean Payton was too busy trying to figure out who was going to get the scoop for when he retired. He was distracted. And usually Sean Payton would put people in the doghouse for the type of stuff he was doing in the last year. He was distracted. And we knew that because Jay Glazer did an article in January of the following year after Sean Payton, the following year, early that year, he let it slip out in the interview that Jay Glazer was told by Sean Payton in November, when Coach Payton's supposed to be coaching up the Saints to get ready for a playoff run, that he was going to allow Jay Glazer, the insider for Fox, to break the story about his retirement, about him leaving the Saints. Now, of course, we know that is not what kind of conversation you're supposed to be having when your team is supposed to be competing for a playoff berth. And that's what happened in Sean Payton's last year. That's in part why the Saints didn't make it. It was too much distraction going on. And then, of course, under Dennis Allen, he was over his head in the first year. A lot of the stuff we talked about before. Mickey Loomis took an approach where he thought that he can turn the keys over to the bus to Dennis Allen and just leave him alone, and he'll do what he's supposed to do. Well, he failed miserably. The team went backwards in wins and from 9 wins to 7 wins or something like that. Then, of course, last season they climbed to 9-8, but 9-8 in a 9-playoff year, not making a playoffs is not really a winning record. It's a win for Dennis Allen because he's never won 9 games before in his professional football career. So it's a mark for him, but not so much for the New Orleans Saints. But both years under Dennis Allen were years where a lot of non-accountability, not attention to detail. Dennis Allen is not a very good communicator. When things goes wrong, he's very slow to adapt and adjust to what's going on. When guys are making mistakes or issues, false starting, they need to be penalized for that. When you see the offensive coaching staff struggling and they're not doing what they're supposed to do. You're supposed to apply pressure, even ideas to change things around, being that you're the head coach and ultimately the supreme boss over the team on the field. He didn't implement such things, despite the fact pressure was put on him, not by the general manager, if you won't call him that, but by the supreme support base who kept putting pressure on him to make changes offensively, in which he did not do, even though he promised it 3 times. No changes means the Saints failed to get the amount of wins needed to get to the playoffs. But in the 3rd year, things have seemed to be turning around. So that's a short synopsis pretty much of how things were from the last 3 years from the Saints. And we have shows that date back, almost, it's been a long time we've been doing the show, but we got shows covering all this stuff. If you want to go back and listen to full streams and daily shows and briefings that we did here, dropping the scoops, it's on this platform. Anyway, to finish out the article, in response to the criticism, Allen has challenged his approach during the team's OTAs. He's changed this approach, emphasizing attention to detail and accountability. He said that multiple times. We covered it here as focal points for the 2024 season, which I've said a lot, that wasn't the type of rhetoric that was coming out of the Saints the last 2 years. This year it has been, and it's been megaphoned from this platform, as well as other family members that's a part of our family that have been saying this, that the ultimately issues with the Saints reside at the head coach level, as a guy that has to understand that he has to pay a closer attention to the team overall and not just the defensive side, which is also why I issued a idea for Dennis Allen to allow Joe Woods, who's the defensive coordinator supposed to be, to call the defensive plays, and then Dennis Allen becomes an overseer like he's supposed to and watch all areas of his team, as opposed to some guy worrying about calling defenses for the defense, calling the defensive plays for the defense. Let the coordinators handle it. Let the coordinators do what they're paid to do, and you act as an overseer. That way you have more oversight and you can implement the attention to detail and pay closer attention to all 3 aspects of the team, and not just locked in trying to call plays on the defensive side. You see, that's one thing I really would hope that he would change. Now, we've been browbeating him to be more accountable, whatnot. And that seems to have worked. Because he is using those terminologies. We'll see if it sticks. That's the big part of it. But do like Clint Kubiak and the adjustments made to the offense in the offseason, because these guys do come in with a high degree of accountability and attention to detail, as various players have said so, including Derek Carr, who's saying that they've been on him to get his timing right, his footwork right, and his progressions right, which means they've seen what we've been seeing, which the Saints garbage time offensive coordinator from last year refused to even much acknowledge, was the fact that Carr was staring people down, was not progressing through his progressions properly, not and holding on to the ball too long in the pocket. That has to change, because you're operating, and most offenses are timed. But when you're a disciplined offense and you put pressure on the quarterback to stay on time, everything improves. So it's good to see that aspect of it. And of course, the final paragraph, in response to the criticism, Allen has changed his approach during the team's OTAs, emphasizing attention to detail and accountability as focal points for the 2024 season. He's dismissed external expectations, stating, "I could care less," and I just played that, what the expectations are outside the building. However, someone might need to remind him that fan support is crucial, and if the Who Dat Nation stops showing up, it could spell doom for him in 2024. Point well taken. Despite the challenges, Allen has revamped his offense with the addition of former 49ers offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak. The new coaching staff might turn the tide and help New Orleans get back to winning, but until then, the majority of the fan base, or family base rather, that I'll say, remains in wait-and-see mode after 3 seasons in playoff purgatory. It's that old song we talked about from Glenn Jones, "Show Me." That has been, over the last couple of years, has been adapted as to pretty much the Saints family members theme. The majority of the family members are on a "Show Me." show me basis. Like, okay, we've heard this for the last several years. Let's see what you guys can do. So there is a lot of truth in both and decides that Dennis Allen has to show the Who Dat Nation, and not only just the Who Dat Nation, but his team, that he has the ability to take them into the playoffs, to be accountable, because I'm pretty sure there'll be times in the season where you'll see the offense struggle and that they'll have to do something. He might have to step in and do something about it. He being Dennis Allen might have to make an adjustment. Can he do that? Can he stay on task? Can he? And of course, there is pressure on Dennis Allen. And I really do believe in his third year, if Dennis Allen does not make it, they will fire Dennis Allen. They will fire him. And of course, we know by looking at the Derek Carr contract that's coming up, that he goes from what he is now to a big bump and boost in the third year. I think it's like 50 million or something ridiculous, escalating contract on a player that's getting older. It wasn't a smart contract by Mickey Loomis. It wasn't a smart contract for the Saints to do that. But in the end, once again, a bit of desperation is set in with the Saints, and they thinking you could just put this stuff together and push it forward. So the positives are Clint Kubiak will make the offense better. I think that big time. The positives are that the Saints do have the offensive players in place to have a very good offense. That's truth. That's facts. The only issue is that if you look at it from an offensive standpoint, is when things start to struggle offensively, what do the head coach do? What is the thought process there when they start to struggle? What's his game plan? What does he do? Does he just simply leave him alone, let him do it, and just spin excuses for him? Or does he get involved to figure out what he can do? What resources can he adapt to help the offense out? What happens there? And of course, like I said, it's what it all comes down to. We still have a lot of question marks in terms of the offensive line. I do like the lineup that they're currently showing. We know once the main camp starts this upcoming week, and we'll be covering all that eventually you'll see most of our veterans step up and see where they position themselves at in the race. We know Nick Saldiveri's at the guard position. Does that flip and change once the veterans move in and we see more Ali Udo and all these guys? How does that look? But I do like the two young offensive tackles with Fuaga on the left side, Penning on the right side. I like that. And I think that is athletic, big, mean, nasty guys, as they're described, can help set a temperament for the Saints offensive line that was just too milquetoast at times. You have to have an attitude of nastiness, but under control to be able to run the football. Defensively speaking, it all comes down to staying healthy. The Saints defense could very well be at the end of the year a top 10 unit. The secondary, in my opinion, if healthy, is it's a top 5 unit, a top 3 in fact. So we'll see how all that shakes and turns moving forward. But let me get you guys' take on it. Y'all tell me and let me know how y'all feel about Dennis Allen labeled as the worst coach in the NFL. This is no secret to us here at the Who Dat Nation and the Great Saint Think Tank. We've seen all kind of articles and stories describing Dennis Allen. They don't have any faith in Dennis Allen. The Who Dat Nation are in wait and see mode to see if Dennis Allen can improve upon the team and take them further, not only into the playoffs, but get a playoff win and push forward. We don't have a young team. We got a veteran-led team that should be competing for not only the NFC South, but really for the NFC conference. That's game. Anyway, that'll be the end of the stream today. Listen, I'd like to thank all you guys for chiming in on this episode of the Coma. Listen, we'll be back next week. We'll be covering all the mandatory stuff going on for I guess the mandatory training sessions coming up next week. We'll have all the well-to-do, all of the news and notes and everything, and the latest video and everything of what's going on in the Who Dat building. So anyway, y'all hit the like button for me, hit the subscribe button, and I'm gonna holler at y'all on the next one. Much love. Who Dat.
Yeah. Like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Long as I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. Thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, probably like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that at. Where we do that at. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that at. Boogie like this and I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
WhoThatDaily.com. That's right, the WhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoThatDaily.com is your site. The WhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who That in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. Check out the Pro Shop.